Jump into fiction with Shirley Jump.
Hi guys, and if you can't hear me, let me know because I'm trying a different microphone today and I'm not sure if it's working right. Nice to see you here, Gayla. Maybe it's not, is it? Great to see you here, Robert, too. Let me know if you guys can't hear me because my microphone may or may not be working. I have no idea. It's like almost impossible to test your own microphone. Like it says it's working when I do the little test thing. But then, nice to see you, Silver Ollie. But then I'm not sure because I don't actually hear myself, so I'm not sure. Nice to see everybody. And again, let me know if you do hear my mic. If this is your first time here, welcome to the writing sprints, the live writing sprints. And we're going to write for a few minutes at a time and then answer writing questions in between. So if you guys can't hear me, let me know. Let me type that in there. Let me know if you can hear. Okay, Gayla can. Great. Because I was getting a little panicky there. Anybody who's been with me with the writing sprints from the beginning knows that it's technical difficulties almost all the time. So we're gonna cut it short today because I've had a migraine for the entire day. I think that the pollen here is just so ridiculous that even though I take Zyrtec every day, it's just been not, my head's just not been happy with it. So that's why I don't have my ring lights on or anything. This is just enough light for me. And it's great, half a mo. So glad that you guys can all hear me. Nice to see you all. So I do have a writing prompt for today. Let me pull that up. It's going to be about the best memory your character has with a friend in the book. Or you can do the worst memory if you don't want to do the best. Because I think that those memories from our childhood or from our early adulthood are pretty essential in shaping who we are and who we become. And it can also be something that your character can go back to. I remember I had a book, I can't tell you which book it is. It might be Simply the Best, which yeah, it was re-released, picked up by another publisher and re-released. I think it might be that book, but I had two guys that were friends in there, and I had a memory that they had from when they were younger, and it became a pivotal plot point in the book later. So I ended up using it because it was a moment where one had relied on the other, and so they kind of called it to mind when they needed it later in the plot. And thank you guys. And yay, Wendy. Glad you're breaking away because to spend it with us. The Women in Publishing, if you guys didn't go, my presentation was Wednesday. I was actually in a cab at the time that I was supposed to be giving the presentation. I was coming back from New York City, so I had to pre-record it. So apologies for that. But the handouts and slides and everything are all in the files section of Women in Publishing. And I also gave everybody information about the Circle community, so you can go there if you want to download anything else. And that's still going on. I think Wednesday, Thursday. I think today's the last day. But if you sign up, I'll pop the link in here during the writing sprint. If you sign up, you can get everything on the digital recordings for quite a long time. And the great thing about the Women in Publishing Summit is that it's mostly focused on the business of writing, like how do you release your book, how do you do good sales, how do you get a great cover, and there's just a few craft components of it, and mine happens to be one of them. So you know, you can get 6 techniques for more compelling novels is my workshop that I did on Wednesday. So how this works is we do 10 or 15-minute sprints at a time. We're going to start with a 15-minute sprint, and you just write as fast as you can. You don't think about it. You can use the prompt if you need an idea to start with. And I'm so glad, Wendy, that you've heard great feedback about it, because it seems like it's a really great group of people. I'm in the private group for the Women in Publishing for all the speakers, and it's a lot of really accomplished people in there. So I'm pretty psyched. Oh, tomorrow's the last day. Yeah, I was put on the first day, so I didn't really pay attention to the rest. And because I've been out of town and I came home and haven't felt good, I haven't even checked it out yet. But I will, because I get access to the recordings as well. So I'm excited to see some of what they've got going on there. So we'll do our first sprint, and I'll play some music, and we'll write for 15 minutes. And then we'll come back and answer any writing questions that you have. So if you're struggling with your plot or your characters, or if you totally disagree with my video about don't outline your book, feel free to drop a comment in there and let me know, because I'd love to talk about it in between. So let's do our first sprint, and it'll be, like I said, 15 minutes, and you guys write, and I'll be back. for our 15 minutes, and nice to see you again here, Miss Blogger. Yes, I do know about Abby Emmons. And three act structure is nothing new. And she can do an outline. That's great. Lots of people do them. I just don't believe in that because I'm more of a character driven author, and I've published like 80 some odd more books than she has. So I've done it a lot more, and that may be why I'm less of an outliner and more of a by the pants sort of writer. Do a little bit of a mix of both, and yes, I have totally seen her channel. I'm glad you guys were all here. I hope you had some great writing during that. I had to find that little link, and then I went in and worked on the book that I've been working on a little bit, and it's going along pretty well considering I have not worked on it in like I don't know, like 8 days, because we took the trip to New York City. There's a video on my channel, both on my on TikTok and Instagram and YouTube, about the trip to New York, and I did not write anything while I was gone. I did work during the day, but I spent a lot of time with my husband. It was really great because he had never been to New York City, and I've been there like 20 times. Because I used to go, before COVID, I used to go at least once a year and go visit my editors and agent and stuff like that, and go have some meetings in New York at the different houses that I wrote for, publishing houses I wrote for. This time I didn't do any business meetings. I just went and showed my husband all of the great sights in New York City and some of the great food. I ate like crazy while I was there because I absolutely love New York. It makes me really excited to be there. It rained the whole time we were there, but it's like kind of magical even in the rain and in the cold. And I got to run in Central Park. I think I told you guys I was going to do that like 4 times. So it was a mile and a half from my hotel room, or 1.3 really, from my hotel room to Central Park, and then I'd run a couple miles in the park and then run back. So I ran 4 to 5 miles every day, and I was in heaven, even though it was a hard run because I'm in flat Florida and New York City is a lot of hills, especially Central Park. So it was great. And you guys are doing great. Look at that, 206 words, both of you, Silver Ollie and Wendy and Hafamo. Thank you. I'm glad you love the don't outline. I really do believe if you know your characters well, you can think about how they will react rather than really being stuck in a story structure. Because I think a lot of us really worry too much about the rules. Now, that's not to say that if outlining works for you, you shouldn't do it, because some people really do like that structure. I personally don't like to feel like I am stuck with this is the only way I can write my book. I would rather kind of have it come from the characters and have them make their own mistakes and their own decisions and choices, and then have there be repercussions to that, just like in real life, right? Like when your kids steal the cookies before dinner, there are repercussions for that. Or if they, get an F in science, there's going to be a result from that. So characters have to have the same thing because that is how they are, more so than encouraged. I mean, there must be another word for that, but what is motivating them to grow and change, because the definition of insanity, keep doing the same thing over and over again, you're going to get the same result. And when the character makes these mistakes and realizes this is not getting them where they want to be, then they start changing and growing and becoming even stronger and better than they were before. And that's what we like to see, that commonality with people that deal with a lot of the same issues that we do. That is what we read a book for. That is what we connect with. That is what we unwittingly are looking for in every single book. I'll pick up a book and I'll be like, this sounds like a really cool plot. But what I'm really looking for is a character I can relate to, because those are the books that I connect with and I stay with. And I think a lot of us don't realize that that's what we're actually latching on to. We don't really care if Dorothy, gets out of Oz and gets back to Auntie M. We care, however, about somebody who feels lost and made an impetuous decision and is paying the price for it, and then is starting over in a new world and has to kind of rely on her own wits. We care about that because that has been us at some point or another. All of us have had to make new friends at some point, whether it was just the transition from middle school to high school, or once you had a baby and then all of your single friends didn't want to be friends with you anymore. All of us have gone through something like that, and all of us have made spontaneous decisions that probably weren't the best decisions. So we can relate to that emotional consequence and to the mistakes that the character makes, because that is what we do in real life. And so that's where I kind of tend to really err on the side of a book, because I just think that a really strict outline prevents you from having those discovery moments with the character. But again, That's me, because it doesn't mean that that's definitely the only way. I think I talked about in there that I have a friend, that a very good friend who's a very successful author, who does a 90-page outline before every book, and it works for her and she loves it, and she's very much a Excel spreadsheet kind of type A person and really likes to have all of that. So if your method is to do an outline and it really works for you, that's cool, because there are no real rules. It's all about writing a story that touches the reader's heart. And however you get there is how you get there. So I'm giving you just ideas for how you can do it. And other vloggers out there are doing the same thing. And their approach may not work for you as much as this one might. And you guys are, Gayla, wow, 540 words. You guys are doing great. And Robert, yeah, 375 writing by hand. I'm amazed by that. And I love that, Hefemo, with putting the donut outline plan into work yesterday by concentrating on the worst nightmare. I love the worst nightmare thing. I really, really do. And if you can start to see it in the movies you watch and the books you read, it'll just kind of open your eyes to how to put a book together. I just watched a TV show on Prime that I'm going to definitely talk about on the channel, because they did everything wrong, and I'm not going to finish the series because it's that badly done. And it got a lot of hype and everything, and I was really actually disappointed because I didn't think that it followed any kind of structure that would keep me hooked, because it took them 42 minutes to get to something actually happening in it. And in today's world where we're just scroll, 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 you don't have that kind of time. So you've got to really get to it right away. And yes, it really does keep you focused on the main characters and keeps you from sweating over the plotting, because yeah, I don't like to sweat over that. Like I said in the video, I think they make me write a synopsis for the book cover design, because they're working on the book cover design at the publishing house before my book comes out. So I'm writing it around the same time that the art department's designing the cover. And so I have to write a synopsis for that. And there have been times when I have called my editor and said, remember how he had a brother? Yeah, I killed the brother. And remember how I said he didn't have any children? Yeah, I gave him a baby. And so then the art department's like, oh, damn, we have to go and put a baby on the cover or whatever. I try not to do that too much. I try to kind of keep the main plot points sort of the same. But there have been a couple of times when the book just refused to go down that path. And that's what that freedom gives me, is like a ticket to say, okay, this plot isn't working. This structure isn't working. I'm going to do it this way. And nice to see you, Mary. Yes, so glad to see you. And Jean, I totally get it about the being at work. Like, wouldn't it be wonderful if all we had to do all day was write? So that would be great. And yes, the character relatedness is super important. Hopefully I'm not, you guys are just chatty today. I love it. So I'm hopefully not missing anything as you guys go along. So I apologize if I am. And Hapamo said, when you're starting out, you're looking for how the heck do I do this? And it's too easy to think you have to do it a certain way. Yes, yes, yes. And I remember totally being in that boat when I first started out. I remember taking a how to write a romance novel course, because that's what I had decided I was going to write in the beginning of my career. And I felt like I had to do it exactly the way that this author did it. And she did a lot of pre-planning, and she was also an outliner. And I wrote 10 books in 8 years that didn't sell, mostly using that method, until around book 9 or 10. Like, I was just like, you know what, this doesn't work for me. I don't want to write with an outline. I don't like writing with an outline. I think it stifles all of my creativity. And once I got rid of that and started from a character standpoint, that's when my first book sold. And that first book that sold went on to become the best romance of the year for that year that it was released. So I think it worked. It did pretty well. So that really made kind of solidified for me that yes, like, this is the way that works best for me. And you have to look at how you need to do it, not how other people tell you to do it. And hi, Cheryl, nice to see you. Oh yes, Robert, that sounds awesome that your brother's an illustrator in New York City. I had I had an illustrator that did one of my book covers. I think he's passed away since then. I had written to his family to try to get the painting version of it, because it was a painting and they didn't have it, obviously, because by the time I figured out who he was, it had been many years since the book came out. But it's just this beautiful picture of some flowers and two people holding hands. That seems so simple, but it was just really gorgeous. And I've had a couple of times where people that are actors that in their spare time like do book covers will tag me on social media. And I've had one guy that has been the hero on the cover of several of my books for related brothers. So they kept going back to the same guy and just making him slightly different so he could be the other brothers. And Cheryl, it was my first book, which was originally called, oh my gosh, The Virgin's Proposal. I forgot about that. Which, if you have children in a Christian school and their mom's book comes out and gets a front page story in the newspaper called The Virgin's Proposal, it's very embarrassing. Just so you know, don't do that. We retitled it and rebranded it as Kissing Mr. Wrong. And so it's out now because I got the rights back to it. And I don't know how to do a DM in a public chat either, guys. This is as good as I get right here. So let's do another chat, another writing sprint. Let's do another 15 minutes and see how it goes. And you guys, let me know if you have any other thoughts on outlining versus not outlining, or whether you really, really love the outline and how it works for you, because I don't find a lot of people that really, really love it and find that it really works for them and that they get the emotionally driven books. So I literally know 3 people that outline really seriously before they write their books, and 99% of the authors that I'm friends with and know don't do it that way. Doesn't mean that it can't work. Just saying that if an outline works for you, drop a comment down there and let me know, because some people really love that. And I think, Cheryl, it's because you're on Facebook instead of YouTube to watch the live stream, because I think you see different comments on the Facebook stream of it than the YouTube stream of it, but I could be wrong. All right, let's do another 15 minutes, you guys, and I will see you back here in a little bit. 15 minutes. You guys are rocking awesome. Okay, so you guys have a whole bunch of questions. I think so. I saw 13 when I came back. So I think Mary's DY site said, I think I need a loose outline since I'm tracking backwards through history. I'm planning to write 12 points in history with a loose idea of who to visit and see where it goes. Absolutely. That, I think when you're doing so much like that, it definitely helps to keep track of at least the timeline, if nothing else. When I have linked books, like if I have a series of 3, 5, 6 books in a series, I will at least have sort of roughly planned out the next book. And I do have, I create what's called a story Bible for that, so that I have, it's not really an outline, but it is like, here's where the grocery store is, here's when the sister got married, here's when their mother died. So I have all those details. There's always at least one I get wrong, and thank goodness I have a really great copy editor at Heshe that will catch those kinds of things, because they also keep a story Bible on their end. Because a lot of times I'm putting out 4 or 5 books a year, and so keeping all of the details straight can be difficult. That's where maybe the outline would have come in handy. But yes, I love that whole thing. And Cheryl, yes, I think that your hero's traumatic past there is huge, would be huge in informing what his deep emotional wound and his worst nightmare is. That's all about not being there, not protecting people that he cares about, not being the one to stop something before he saw it happen. And maybe he's overly suspicious or overly protective because of that. Hobby full who went in and out. Hi and goodbye. And I like the negative traits thesaurus. That kind of sounds cool. And yes, Silver Ollie, I'm glad you try to get the emotions in there as well, because that's really what people relate to. And especially in children's books, I think that it's so important to get that across. And it's harder, obviously, because you only have a few hundred words to do it. I've written 12 or 13, no, 15 children's books altogether. I've ghostwritten all of them, so I can't tell you who I wrote them for, but I've done 15 children's books altogether. And it's been all about trying to balance that much shorter story with a goal, motivation, and conflict, and character emotions and things that kids can relate to. And it can be a challenge for sure, because you've got a lot that you've got to get into a very short space of time. But it does teach you how all of that can easily be happening in a book, no matter how long or short it is, and you can make it work. Definitely have to do the video one of these days about Guess How Much I Love You, because I've used that before. Wendy has probably been to my workshop where I've done that in person and talked about goal, motivation, and conflict in that. So once I kind of plan out my videos for the week, maybe I'll see if I can fit that in there. Next week's video is on setting. So we're going to get a little bit into setting, because I think that's very important, particularly when you have a book where the setting is so important. And some of the books that I talked about in the no outline video have really important settings. So they are even more important for you to make sure you get right. I forgot to get the shareable link for the new video. So here, if you guys have not seen the Don't Outline controversial video, my one stab at controversy, because I'm not much of a controversial person, it is live on my channel. And yes, Miss Logger, I saw that note earlier, and I talked about it a little bit before. So I'm just not a big fan of having everything be too planned out. And it's funny, because I'm very much a person who lives and dies by lists. I don't have them here, there, over, and there, but I have lists for everything in my life. But I think I like to have more of that creativity and more of that coming from the gut sort of writing when I do novels, because I really want it to come from the characters, because that's where I think they create the biggest problems. And yes, Wendy, you've probably seen it more than once over the years. I think I've used that book a couple of times in different workshops. And somebody else had asked me if I have any other workshops coming up in the near future. I will be speaking in Jacksonville in May, and I may be going to Texas as well. We're still trying to work that out and seeing if that will work. Don't think I have anything else on my agenda for right now, but I will keep you guys posted. And if you're not already part of the Writing Compelling Fiction Circle community, that's a really great place to keep tabs on my schedule. It's free, and you guys can just join it and just do what you want. There, you can download all the resources, all the handouts are there, the planning guides are there for those who really like to kind of dig deep into their characters. And you'll be the first to know on that community when I have a class, or I have an extra live stream, or I'm releasing the Writing Compelling Fiction workbook, which is still in the process. I need to travel less and work more. I've got another super quick trip on Monday. I'm going to Denver, and Cheryl, I won't be able to visit because I'm in and out in less than 24 hours. So that's going to be a super quick trip, and I'm flying on the Monday after the time change. So it'll be an interesting morning for me. My flight is at like 5. I'm going to be a tired little puppy. But I did get one of those little eye masks that have the headphones built in, so I'm hoping I can sleep on the plane. Oh, that's great, Gayla. Just an hour from you. That's awesome. And yes, you guys are great. And Wendy, I love that with the least structured outline, which is pretty much my life with that. Okay, guys. So let's do one more really quick. Let's do just 8 minutes. So we're finishing right at 5 because, like I said, I don't feel well today, and I wanted to make sure I still got an hour in with you guys. And if I can bring up my timer here, that would be fantastic. And then next week, hopefully, everybody's got more time. And Miss Bogger, I agree that it can free you to be more creative. I'm just saying that I disagree with that perspective, and that's why I said in the video that it can be a little controversial. I feel differently about it after having published 85 books. So I've written at least 100 and published 85 of them. So I've done it a lot and learned what works for me. Probably around book 6 or 7, I really learned exactly what works for me. And that's part of the process of being a writer. You learn what works for you and what doesn't work for you. It's just as you have any other career. That's what works for one person doesn't necessarily work for you. Like athletes, they all have different like superstitions and approaches to how they train, what they eat, what they do, how they work out, what muscles they work. Everybody has a different process in getting ready or preparing to do their thing. And you use what works for you. And the only way to find out is to actually write. So you've got to write. And if you're finding that you can't do it without the outline, go ahead and write one. But if you're finding that you love that freedom to just create from a character point of view so that you get a really strong emotional story, then do it that way. So we all have our own things. Okay, so let's go for 8 minutes. We'll see you guys in a little bit. And oh, I forgot to do the music, so I'll just do that too. we go. That was our last little sprint there. And Miss Blogger, my favorite writing craft books are obviously writing compelling fiction. No, but I talk about them a lot in my workshops. I love just forgot them for a second there. The writer's journey. I love writing the breakout novel. There's a few that I mentioned. I also have actually a video on my channel that reviews my top favorite writing books on there, because there's a lot that I read that really taught me a lot about structure and things like that. Scene and Structure by Jack Bickham, who is just a master. Late Jack Bickham. Whoops, that's my timer. I guess we're done with the time, right? um, the late Jack Bickham was just amazing, and he wrote this book called Scene and Structure that kind of made it all click for me. So there's been a lot of them over the years that I have really liked for writing craft. And then I wrote my own, basically based on my own approach. And like I said to everybody else, we're gonna do a workbook. It's being worked on. That's all I can say, because I'm trying to get that done among everything else. And Silver Ollie, you guys did great. And yes, I hope migraine goes away too. I would like to enjoy my weekend. So I really think it's a lot of the pollen and stuff. So thank you all for being here at this sprint. You can always rewatch them as a replay, and we'll be doing another one next week. So I will see you. Have a happy writing week. And if you ever have a topic that you really want me to talk about on the channel, just drop me a note at any point and I will be glad to cover it. Have a great weekend, you guys, and I'll see you later.